Welcome to the session on the Treasurers Handbook overview. I'm Tim Butler, the Regional Treasurer. I also serve as representative to the General Board for the region and as your Mission Finance Committee. I'm also at home at Elkhart Christian Church. I'm the treasurer there.
Surprise.
It's good to see everything from that. It kind of gets me in a sense of how things appear at different levels. So it's a unique view. So the handbook for treasurers, it's available on the Disciples.org website, and it has to do with this. So if you put your name and email address on there, I'll send you a link, and then other links that we talked about today. And I'll be the first to admit, I do not have this book committed to memory. It's really it's a reference book, and so you can use it to find things when you're looking for how to do things. It's a compilation of best practices, and so I apologize for the small screen, but I couldn't scoot back any more than this. So we'll just kind of start scrolling down. Starts here with the table of contents. The introduction section has about the purpose of the book. I'll clean that out a little bit more. Purpose of the book, of course, is to support the treasurers in their job, and also it's a good resource for stewardship finance committee members and church board members if they want to dig into best practices for the church. And then it also goes into some of it later on in the handbook. It talks about general financial ministries of the church and how they support local congregations and regions. So dive right in here to chapter 1. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to split the screen. You can see chapter 1.
There's a little pad going around to put your name and email address and those things.
It's going to be going to do all
And my goal is not to read this to you. That's what the link later will be for, so you can look up things as you need it. So it's to make your job easier. They do have some emails here for Disciples Church Extension Fund. There's a general email address. If you stop by their table today, I'm sure there's business cards, and use that one instead. That'll make it go quicker. Same with pension fund and foundation.
Was this updated lately?
No. This is from 20. Let me scroll back up. I think it was 2015. Was the last time this was 2016. End of 2016. It's almost 2017.
Yeah.
So it is somewhat dated.
We use that at the church when we updating policy procedures.
Oh, that's great. Yes. So yes, if you're updating your policies and procedures, this is a great reference source for that.
It's not copyrighted.
So at chapter 1. Oh no, this is still the introduction. Okay. So it talks about establishing a finance committee and establishing responsibilities and how your workflow goes. And I'm assuming that as a church treasurer, you've already got some of that in place already. And one thing too to keep in mind, if your church is a small congregation, sometimes having enough people for all the checks and balances is difficult. And what we've done at Elkhart is we have, I do the, I handle the QuickBooks entry, and we have a financial secretary and an assistant financial secretary that handle the deposit side of things. So those two are segregated.
That's what we have in our church.
That's what we have.
Okay, good. And then I prepare a monthly report out of QuickBooks. You can do the same out of whatever financial software. How many are using QuickBooks currently? Show of hands?
No.
Not QuickBooks. They're
Block-based?
hmm?
Block-based?
Block-based, yes. That's one of them I've been told about, but I've not had direct contact
That's
with.
what we use.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it seems to be working well.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we use Realm for church management and receipts, but then for disbursements and just overall contribution reporting, we use QuickBooks. So we use a combination.
I don't know what they use for income.
Okay.
I do the deposits.
Yeah, Realm it's made by ACS Technologies. And that'll be the links that I send out too. And,
Well, if you use QuickBooks,
Yeah, they use QuickBooks.
so, I mean, they're probably already linked with the bank.
Oh, she
So
might be.
the financial secretary and the founder's financial secretary, they make a deposit,
Yeah.
and that deposit crosses over. Yeah,
It's been a long time since I was a church treasurer or nothing like that.
oh, yeah.
I use
That's
QuickBooks,
actually
but
one of the
that's it.
features I've not turned on yet with us, with QuickBooks, because we just recently changed from QuickBooks to QuickBooks Online. And the online piece had a lot more,
oh,
where they're doing stuff for me that I used to have to do with the tax deposits for withholdings.
well, and I've served my term as the treasurer, but I'm not the treasurer anymore, but I helped set up. We went from, we were a desktop, and we had, it may have been, I don't think it was QuickBooks. I meant something, but we transferred everything into QuickBooks, and then that links to the bank. We, at that time, the church was using an outsourced company that did all the,
Tax filings and everything.
they did all that, but they also did all of it. The only thing the church had to do was get the information from the auditors, the bookkeeping company, and then the church printed the checks and signed the checks. That was not done at the third party. At the end of my 3 years of being the treasurer and had to implement all this stuff, the person that took over from me decided we're going to go to just a desktop. I said, break all those links. Hey, good luck, God bless.
Yeah.
You're smoking back online now.
See, I worked at a bank for 36 years. There you go. And then there's a gentleman in our church that works at the bank. And I do the deposits every Sunday. And put them in, and then I send him an email with the numbers. I'm the only one that sees the names, but with the numbers and the amounts they give, so we can get at the end of the year, if they'd like a printout with all that they're giving. We can do that. And then for board meetings, and he does the reports, has it all divided out.
See, I thought
Works really well.
I loved QuickBooks. Just loved it. I wasn't the one that was supposed to be doing it. It was supposed to be the bookkeeping company. But for the first 2 months, I did it all with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to know if from start to finish.
I understand. Yeah.
And then the reporting was fabulous. They
So you can
spent.
divide it out so easily that, if you be good compassion offering, if you have.
Yeah, all of that.
And then you have good records for the
And
next time people want.
the W-2 just came right out.
Mhm.
The system, you didn't have to go to a typewriter and put it all in.
No.
We pay somebody $35 to do the W-2 which I don't think is any money at all, it's the.
That's what it, that's if they'll do that, but the system prints out your W-2s
Okay.
and your tax thing, remissions.
We're not online, I know, but we're gonna be.
Well, one thing that Melissa was talking about in the keynote about truth, transparency, and trust. The transparency part is really important too. I prepare a report every month for the church board, and they get to see that. And they know what the balances are, they know what the disbursements and the receipt totals were.
They never see the names of.
No.
The names are out.
They'll
not
see what
important.
pledged
Yeah,
amount
that's
is,
fine.
Right.
and what special offerings are, and what other is, and what building use is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have that kind of thing, but.
So, one of the best practices they recommend is to have 2 signers on checks.
Yes,
We're too small for that, so we've never implemented 2
Yeah.
signers. But-
What's the, I mean, I've seen churches just sign a bunch of checks beforehand, that's totally.
that isn't good.
That's
Yeah.
not, that's not really
That
good
makes no
accountability.
sense. No,
Not good
but it-
accountability.
And it just negates the idea of having 2 signers, but to get 2 people together, some days are really tough.
We have 2 signatures, and I'm one of the signatures. I don't write the checks, but I will sign and check to make sure everything matches, and then another gal comes in, that's an elder of the church, just another person, and they don't get it with the bank, so the bank has both signatures to know it's okay.
But not 2 at the same time.
Yeah,
Oh.
We had 3.
well, they don't have to come do it at the same, it's on the
Yeah,
same
have to
check,
sign
they
it.
don't have to sign at the same time. They'll have it
No.
at the church, and I'll sign it when I'm there, and then they'll come in and they'll sign their name.
Oh,
And
see,
check it as well.
we didn't have that, we had just 1 signature,
No, we have
but it
two.
could be 3
3
people.
different people.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like if I went on
We
vacation,
have two.
the deputy would do it.
Sorry.
That's okay. The discussion is good. I do have a microphone, and we can pass that around if we like. I'm not sure that the recording is going to pick up all this discussion, so it might be good to have that. So one of the things from the introduction section that's kind of nice is it goes through the roles of the general financial ministries. And so Treasury Services, the Office of General Minister and President, they do all of the bookkeeping and handle the financials for the region and multiple regions. Most of the regions, but not all. One benefit that is to the region is that they do an audit every year. It's included with their services. And I think they also will provide services to individual congregations if you want them to do that, but they do have a fee to do that.
They'll do a free audit of our church books? What are you saying?
Well, if you're a client of theirs, so like the region has a client agreement with Treasury Services for that. So the region doesn't have the expense of having an outside firm do an audit. That's just included.
Yeah.
And then Disciples Church Extension Fund, their ministry partner that works with churches. That was talked about on the plenary, so. Let's go over that. Pension Fund, also a ministry partner. And Christian Church Foundation. Permanent funds are important to have. If your church doesn't have one, I definitely recommend reaching out to get that set up. And part of the Treasurers Handbook does have a part about sample language for permanent fund policy. That would be the first step. Okay, so Chapter 1, Financial Matters. Budgeting, and then phases of budgeting, types of budgeting, and then just basic money handling principles is covered. So it's good to review that, just to see how it compares to what you're currently doing and see if maybe you need to adjust some things. If you have a major capital expense coming up, there's recommended ways to handle that. It's covered. And then managing accumulated and permanent funds. If you have your permanent fund handled by the Christian Church Foundation, they send you out a statement every quarter, and then every year you get a disbursement from the income off of the fund. And then, as treasurer, then it's up to you to make sure that it gets distributed according to your permanent fund policy. I know the one we have for Elkhart, I want to say it's a 30%, 30%, 30%, 10% split of the disbursement.
30, 50, 50.
And so we have that going to different funds or uses within the church.
We have like a big quest fund, I think somebody was talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Is the bequest a permanent fund where you don't touch the principal then?
Right,
Okay.
and it's hard when the interest rates were so low. And you
Ah,
don't have
oh, yeah.
to- But it's better, it's better now.
And the foundation, they have, I think, 3 to 5 different fund options that you can
They
choose from.
get 40% goes to trustees for maintenance of the church, 30% goes to Christian Ed, 20% goes to, education. No, well, and then 10% goes, 20% goes to general budget, and 10% is outreach, so there's outreach funding that we need.
Okay.
So we can, really separated and we can use it in those ways.
Oh, good, good.
The COVID, period of the COVID really affected, the church budget, the church income.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the income.
However, while I was the treasurer, we got to apply for the PPP loans.
Oh, yeah.
Loans, but as long as you spend it according to that, you gotta forgive me.
You gotta forgive me.
Yes,
Ah,
so I did that twice, which really helped our budget. The problem, however, was we got used to that. So now, there was a freely come, blah, 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 but it didn't freely come, it didn't all come back.
Right.
So we did the,
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, I don't know that side, I do know the deposits were low.
Yeah.
So,
So on the budgeting part, we have a budget meeting usually. Our church here is on a fiscal year starting July 1. So usually about mid to late May, we'll have a budget meeting with the Stewardship and Finance Committee. And we just sit down, see what the expenses have been, what we think they're gonna be the rest of the, last couple months of the fiscal year. Usually by that point, it's on a pretty even keel as far as what's coming in and what expenses are gonna be. And then we hash out the budget.
I mean, you can look in QuickBooks, you can set up a budget
Mm-hmm.
every year in QuickBooks, and then the finances go against that budget. So when you print your monthly report, I used to print one against the budget and then just a total, and it's right out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For you.
No work.
No work.
No, and that's what I do for my monthly reports, is all this budget. But I just use an Excel spreadsheet for the budget meeting, because like with the pension fund for the minister, that's a percentage of a couple different things that pull in, and you can set up a formula to calculate that when you're going through your budget meeting. So if you wanna increase the pastor's salary by X amount, you do plug that in, and then it automatically changes the other pieces. So anyway, the important thing is have a budget. And make sure that you've got, try and draw in as many people as you can. I mean, you don't want to have too big of a group, but I know the last couple of ones, 2 years ago was our bigger meeting. I want to say we had almost 10 people there at that one, but most years it's closer to between 5 and 7 that are there.
Ours on a monthly basis, well, and you can do it year to date too. The system will say the percentage So then we know for our budget,
Yeah,
what we need to watch or what we need to change for next year.
and on QuickBooks, it'll let you put in for your budget numbers, you can either do all, if you put all the yearly budget in the first column, in the first monthly column, that'll just carry forward. It will let you break it out by month, but we just do everything in the first column, and then that way it does the percentage, like you say. So, you know, if you're through the first quarter, everything should be sitting about 25%. If it's one way or the other, you know, something might be out of whack. So, chapter 2 talks about how the congregation is an employer, and it talks about ministerial salary and parsonage matters, employee benefits and taxes and tax reporting. And so if you're using QuickBooks or another software where they'll do that tax piece for you, it makes it easier. I didn't realize how much easier until I started using it. But yeah, and we just started using the online piece, starting with the July 1 fiscal year. And so we're just, getting to the end of we're at the end of the first quarter, and so now I'm seeing how the withdrawals work and how they're going out, and there were some forms to set up so that they could do that for us.
I think God had a plan in our church. Our church computer that had all the financial stuff on it died a month ago.
Oh.
So, no, she's babying it.
Okay.
She's gonna make it to the new computer to get it out.
Backups are important.
Yes, yes. But she's not gonna be able to use the regular QuickBooks anymore. She's gonna have to go to online, so.
Okay, well, as long as you got that backup file, they should be able to upload it and use it. Whether it's the current computer or the new one.
Depends on how old it is though, because I've had QuickBooks that are so old, they wouldn't do it anymore.
Okay.
I don't think that they're into the supporting QuickBooks
That's probably true.
desktop.
They were discontinuing that.
Yeah.
I heard that. But further recording that the QuickBooks desktop support was being discontinued.
That's probably right.
Then that's why we decided to pull the trigger going to online.
I mean, it's not cheap. I mean, you have to pay. I mean, I think we bought the system, and then it's so much a month or something. Like,
Oh, well, one thing that might be of interest, how many are from Iowa here? Is everybody in Iowa? Or, okay. So with Iowa, there's a thing about unemployment tax, and I'm not entirely sure with the rules, so I'll admit that. But it's either because we're a really small church or because we're a church, and I'm not sure which distinction it is. But we've never had to file a return to
It's because you're a
pay.
church.
It's because we're a church. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, I worked for the Catholic Church or for some nuns, and when they eliminated my job, I got no.
Okay.
Even though I was an employee, I wasn't
That's
a
good.
contractor.
Well, one thing that when I went to the QuickBooks Online and they were going to handle the taxes, it got to a point where it said, okay, enter your unemployment insurance employer number. And I didn't have one. But there is a place online that you can go out to with Iowa Workforce Development to apply for the number. And I got the number, and that's all the further the process went. So, but what QuickBooks is expecting is that you'll get your number, and then later, you'll get more information so that they can file those taxes for you. There aren't any taxes to file for them. And so it just kind of set at that spot, and then after a while of getting reminders saying, you need to go out to the website and do this, it said, okay, we're just not going to file for you. And I went, okay, good, because I didn't have to file anyway.
We agree, thank you.
now you do have to file, is that the 1098? Whatever it is, quarterly, to the IRS.
Yeah.
I think it's still good. I mean, the system does it, but
Well,
it boots out the form and then you.
1098, that's for your contractors, right?
That's 1099.
Which would be the pastor, right?
No.
No, we did a W-2.
The pastors
I
can
haven't
get
done
either,
pastor
but ours
work
does
in a long time.
W-2.
Huh?
Our pastor gets a W-2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a W-2
Pastor,
also.
church secretaries, couple of the janitor.
Oh, there's a pad of paper here going around, if you can pass that back to the back. If you want to put your email address and name on there, I'll send out links to what we're talking about when we get home.
I'm trying to remember, we can, as a church, can send money to the region to invest.
Yes,
Okay.
well, it's not the, investments wouldn't be the region. That's probably DSAP or
We
foundation.
haven't done this, but I remember talking about it one time, it's been a long time ago, but they still do that.
Mhm.
We can still do that.
Yeah.
And they have a pretty good rate of interest, it all depends on.
I believe so,
the region.
yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a certain amount.
That I don't know. Yeah, I would check with Katie if you can catch her.
Katie?
Katie McFall, she was one of the speakers.
Okay.
I think I could be wrong. I'm not wrong often. I'm kidding. But the system will send out the reports for you because you set them up in the beginning. And we don't have, the church I served, the treasurer did not have it. They don't send you money automatically. They send you all the information you need. And you have to call call and set up the amount that you want. The amount that you want comes from your foundation account. The interest is not enough usually.
Mm-hmm.
So the church has set up a formula that you need to follow. You need to have the information for 3 years. There's some divide, multiply, whatever, and put outcomes. Okay, you can ask for $30,000. And I always did, and when I was the treasurer, my little trick was, I always put it in the budget. The budget was presented to the congregation. Once that was approved, I would then fill out the form that was required to get that money. Because that money was already part of income in the budget. If we didn't do that, you're gonna get a big red number again. So you can do it then, but you can do it, I believe, I want to say once a year, unless you have like a catastrophe, the church roof blew off.
Mm-hmm. Is that foundation or DSAP that does that? Or something else?
It's the foundation.
Foundation, okay. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, reach out to the foundation rep.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the one I think that Kirby does, and she's gonna do that webinar on November 14th.
Correct.
So chapter 3, going on. Chapter 3, outreach. So that's where they talk about DMF, Week of Compassion, Reconciliation, Mission, and since this is kind of dated to also the special day offerings too. And then chapter 4 goes into your accumulated resources, wills and trusts, bequests. What are you going to do with those? If you have a permanent fund policy, that speaks to that can help determine what happens to those. If they're over a certain amount, or you can write that up however you wanted to in the permanent fund policy. But once you've got that policy established, then it probably would take another congregational vote to get it changed if you wanted to change it later.
I think when I was the treasurer, ours went to the memorial.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. Yeah, chapter 5, investment opportunities, DSEF and foundation. And then they've got appendices at the end of the book.
They have a what?
Appendices at the
Oh, I
end.
thought you said.
A sample accountable reimbursement plan. Oh, accountable reimbursement plan. I'm sure you work with those. Somebody has an expense for the church that fits within a budget line, and you're going to reimburse them. They have to give you a receipt for it to be accountable.
Right, they have to fill out a certain form.
Yeah.
That's not signed by the shopper, but by the I call it department head, but that's whatever the title is.
But with Elkhart, they've got the way the policy is written up. If it's we only need the special form if it's over a certain amount, and then the trustee needs to sign off on it. But if it's anything lower than that, it's within budget. Me as treasurer has latitude to go ahead and reimburse, as long as we're not going way over budget on the
Right.
line item. Yeah. Remittance form for pension plan, change of employer or addition of employer form, pension plan. I would recommend going out to the pension plan website for the current forms rather than using what's in here, just because it is dated.
I mean, once you have that done, I mean, it becomes an auto pay, which I like.
I finally pulled the trigger on doing that, and then you know what happened?
What?
Our pastor's retiring at the end of the year. So I'm gonna have to file another page for him.
Mine has to send it to the UCC pension.
Well, the church I serve, besides the pension plan, the pastor had her own retirement that she contributed to. And there's a form for that.
No doubt.
If you're in town, I'll serve her for which is what I did.
We have a lot of ACHs for deposits,
I don't know.
and I think it's getting more,
Mhm.
but we've got to spend, forms, we can help them fill out the forms, and so we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
And if they're gone for part of the winter and such, there's still offering still comes in.
For salaries, we didn't write any more checks, they all went to direct deposit. They went kicking and screaming, but.
We still do checks, but we just.
We have kind of a combination at Elkhart. We have some that still get by check, but I'm so thankful that we pulled the trigger on the online giving piece before COVID hit. Because that was already in place, we already had some families that were familiar with using it, so we still had income streams coming in.
Right.
But things kind of dried up a lot.
That's what I want to introduce. I need to go to that.
And
That's what I'm gonna use. I can't find my checkbook.
Some put a certain time of the month,
Yeah.
they want, and some want to do it weekly, I'm surprised at that, but it's.
yeah, recurring gifts, yeah.
But whatever works for them.
So that's the end of the Treasurers Handbook as far as the topics that they cover. Well, I want to show you a few things here because we'll kind of get into that too. What I want to get to first, so I'll show you what Realm looks like. And with Realm, they also have it available on a phone app as well as the website that you can log into.
Is this for the treasurer or for the employee?
It can do both.
Okay.
And they each have a different interface with different levels of authority. And so for some of us, we actually get a secondary authentication, which is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
And the number's different every time. It randomizes those. And so with the giving piece, you click on giving, and then it goes, you just click on the give button, and there's some setup screens you go through to get that set up. Still have an internet connection.
We use, at the downtown disciples, they use Gively.
Oh, Givelify?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Givelify was promoted a lot at General Assembly a few years back.
Yeah, Venmo, they take Venmo.
They take Venmo too. But we've got this set up. You can do split transactions, so you could do offering, you could do disciples mission fund, you can add another line. And so, and then when, as treasurer, when people give online, I get a report. And it tells me what the total amount was. And that's kind of my, hey, you've got a deposit here, and then I can go into Realm as treasurer and see what the splits are to record that in QuickBooks.
How much does the company make? I mean,
Well, and that's the percentage piece, and that's why we did not go with Givelify, because we launched the Givelify page too, so it's available if anybody wants to do it, but the fees were lower with Realm. And they mentioned Vanco in the plenary. Realm uses Vanco for the transacting piece.
It's slow.
It's because I can send it to 5G.
Oh, okay.
Still Givelify.
Givelify. Or is it Gidlify? It might be Gidl.
It'll probably
Yeah.
take you to the right place anyway.
I look it up on my phone, but my phone's on the tripod. Recording this session. I might have a bookmark though.
Here it is. Givlify give.com.
Yeah, that sounds
Something
right.
like that. I think I don't know. Give a win. I'm not know.
But yeah, the percentage fees were higher with Givelify than they were through Vanco. So. That's kind of the direction we pushed everybody that way. It was less of a cut.
It's in the direction. I think that's the original.
And then I'm sure you're all familiar with Alex and the Alex reporting for the church.
Yeah, but that's usually.
The yearbook report.
Yeah, the office administrator does.
Okay. They can also take weekly reporting of offerings and things too.
What is it you're talking?
Alex.
What's up? ALEX?
Yep, and this will be in the links too.
Oh, okay.
At alex.disciples.org. And so, yeah, Alex is for weekly attendance figures and weekly offering figures, but not including the offerings that are going to special day offerings, because Treasury Services compiles that as it comes in too, and it'll double count if you include it in the Alex total. Any questions or anything that you want to talk about more?
Don't give them any money, I'm set up.
You mentioned flock-based. Well, what does flock-based do? You don't know?
All I know is that we pay it.
Oh, okay.
It balances statement and they use it, the one that I get the information out to them. And it does our calculating.
It does the
our
books, okay.
But you've heard of flock-based.
I have heard of flock-based.
And it's just like $29 a month. It's not expensive.
QuickBooks is not.
I think there was one more I wanted to mention. Oh, no, we did. Okay, around QuickBooks flock-based. Are there any other software packages that you use for?
Use Church Track.
Church Direct?
Church Track.
Church Track.
Yeah.
TRACK?
C. It's TRAC.
TRAC.
Church Track.
Church Track.
It's for online and just keeping track of offerings by person.
Realm has a nice year-end receipt feature.
When they give money, they go and set that up.
About mid-January or so, a little button will appear. My prior year tax statement.
This doesn't do tracking for the church, just does tracking for the giver.
Okay.
However, I'm not sure because I'm not in that administrative part.
Mhm.
I wouldn't doubt that they give you, reports. I don't know. I know as the donor, it gives great reporting. You can set it up and it goes automatically every month.
For the donor, for whoever's, okay.
However,
Yeah,
no, this is for the people in the congregation giving their money to the church. The church has to already be set up, and then the donor goes in and set themselves up. They can do a donation anytime, they can set it up, I do mine monthly, so every month, date, it goes to the church.
okay.
Everybody knows it's good.
Right, yeah, right. Well, thank you.
Well, I don't really have anything else, so thank you for coming.
What time is it?